DocTalk is brought to you by MERCK Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Folks, welcome to the show. Dr. Dan here. We have a great show. Our friend Dr. Casey Olson. We're going to talk about replacement heifer selection, and we have some interns here from Gardiner Angus representing Texas A&M, Oklahoma State, and Australia. Hello, Georgie Lawrence. Thanks for joining us today. It's going to be a great show. See you after these messages.
As dependable as the sunrise, in dairy parlors, open pastures, on ranches and feed yards across America, a place where reputation is more than a name, where the science of healthier animals is a way of life. It's the responsibility that drives who we are and what we do. Every decision, every day. It's your livelihood and our responsibility.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
This segment brought to you by the new Hired Hand Portable Cow Sprayer. For more information, visit cowsprayer.com.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. Thanks for joining us. We got our friend and my colleague, Dr. Casey Olson, who is the Walter Lewis Chair of Range Cattle Nutrition here at Kansas State University in the Department of Animal Science and Industry. And it's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Dan. It's always a pleasure to be here.
We get you here, we get some good information. Today is going to be no different. We're going to talk about picking out replacement heifers and, you know, and some of the different things about developing them, and we have kind of a schedule for today, but you wanted to start out with how you're going to pick a replacement heifer.
Sure. And, you know, for me, this is the primary focus that I have every year as a cow-calf producer. Those heifers I view as my primary product, and every terminal animal in my herd is really a convenient byproduct to that. Finding just the right female, breeding just the right female, I think takes a lifetime of work and study. I'm not a master of it by any means, but I guess over the last 20 years, I figured out what's really important to me and what's really secondary, Dan.
Okay, well, let's get into some of those things that we're going to, you know, look to pick that female. What are some of the things that you'll employ or think about? What are the characteristics you use to pick replacement heifers? Sure,
and you know, there's a lot of relevant questions that people can ask about whether I should keep this female or not keep this female. You know, what's her conformation like? How's she put together? What's her temperament like? Did her mama have a good udder and things of this nature? For me, it really comes down to two very important questions. Okay, first, I know mostly what I need to know about a heifer based on the day she's born. In all of beef cattle production, on the female side, it's a game of inches. Success is a game of inches. If a heifer is born early in my system, she will tend to reach puberty early. If she reaches puberty early, she will tend to conceive early. If she conceives early in her first season, she'll calve early when she's a first calf heifer, and she will tend to rebreed sooner during her second pregnancy. So that birth date is critically important. You know, something else I think that's equally relevant is during that period of calfhood and leading up to the peri-weaning period, you know, when I finish the weaning process, I want to know if I've treated that calf for a disease of any kind. Okay, something that may have physically damaged her for the rest of her life, respiratory infections of that nature. The third question, and I'm going to let Mother Nature answer this herself, is how well does she fit my development environment?
Gotcha. So it is, you know, when we look at the date that they're born, obviously disease and then different things that'll phenotypically show up, and picking those animals that are going to match your eye as well. any other things, we're gonna have to take a break here, but any kind of wrap up as to those things that you're gonna use to pick? When we come back, we're gonna talk about why we use those things to pick.
Sure. Well, assuming that those two things are the most important, there's lots of other questions to answer.
Perfect. Well, folks, thanks for watching DocTalk today. We're going to take a break here. We'll have some messages. When we come back with Dr. Casey Olson, we're going to talk about why we use those things to pick those heifers and more about replacement heifer picking selection after these messages.
This Meet the Future Veterinarian is brought to you by ZINPRO. Choose confidence. Choose ZINPRO for BRD treatment. Kathleen Morris is the 5th generation of a Texas ranching family, and her mother is a veterinarian, so it was natural for her to choose a career in veterinary medicine. Her main interests are in equine dentistry and podiatry, but she also loves working with small ruminants and livestock. After graduation, she will spend the summer working in Alberta, and then return to Texas to work full-time in a mixed practice.
Some call it a come-from-behind victory, an unlikely win, a reversal of fortune, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This is our moment, our victory dance, because we choose confidence. We choose ZINPRO for BRD treatment. Ask your veterinarian to prescribe ZINPRO. ZINPRO is a fast-acting, long-lasting BRD treatment that you can count on to get the job done. Choose confidence. Choose ZINPRO from MERCK Animal Health.
Do your cattle struggle with pink eye, BRD, or another disease? Contact Newport Laboratories for a customized solution. Our custom-made vaccines are produced using the specific diseases found in your area. These USDA licensed vaccines offer potential cost savings on vaccine and labor. Contact your veterinarian or Newport Laboratories the next time your cattle are in need of a custom solution. Newport Laboratories custom-made vaccine, because every situation is different.
This segment brought to you by the new Hired Hand Portable Cow Sprayer. For more information, visit cowsprayer.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Casey Olson. We're at Kansas State University, where Dr. Olson serves as the Walter Lewis Chair of Range Cattle Nutrition. He's a ruminant nutritionist, is in our Department of Animal Science, and does a lot of work not only with our commercial cow herd here for research, but you're doing a lot of work in teaching and public speaking and different things of that nature. Just a wealth of knowledge. It's always great to have him on the show. And we're talking about pick and replacement heifers. When you were talking about why we pick, okay, or talking about how you pick those heifers. Now let's get into the why we use those as the indicators.
Well, those two questions we talked about, was she born early in my system? And did I treat her for disease during calfhood? The answer to both of those questions has to be yes, before I can start applying the other things that might be important as a replacement heifer. Again, reproduction and reproductive success is a game of inches. And if we don't have the correct answer to those first two questions, nothing else is really very relevant. Other things that I might be interested in that heifer, does she have a temperament that fits the development environment, fits my environment that I eventually plan to put her in as a mature cow? Is she structurally correct? Did her mom have an adequate udder? I mean, all those things are moderately heritable traits. I can bank on the fact that if her mother and father shared those traits, she's very likely to have those same traits as well.
Yep, and I think if they can take away one thing is the relative importance of picking those heifers that are born in the beginning. Not only do they have a head start in more possibilities of getting to the proper breeding weight and cycling at the right time and having that first calf, but they generally wind up being better performers too.
No, they do. Early is always good with respect to a cow-calf production cycle, and one of the realizations that I've come to is that ultimate success, is taking that heifer and eventually labeling her a mature cow. That's going to happen somewhere between 2 and 3 years of age. We do a great job in this country getting heifers pregnant for the first time. We do kind of a lousy job getting heifers pregnant for the second time. If she has the benefit of early, let's just call it early, during her first pregnancy, she's going to have just a little bit extra time postpartum to get ready to get pregnant a second time. After her second calf, okay, she should have, again, just a little bit more time to get ready to get pregnant. That postpartum estrus interval is a little bit unpredictable, and giving that heifer just a little extra chance to get through it and become that mature cow we're all looking for, again, is a question about time.
Yeah, and it keeps them in the herd. It keeps them employed. It keeps them working. It keeps them putting calves on the ground.
Yeah,
it's important. Well, we're going to take a break. Dr. Olson's going to get into some of the things that we're going to do to develop these heifers, and we're going to take them from the time in which we get them weaned, and then we start to develop those heifers and bring them forward into the herd. You're watching DocTalk. Thanks for joining us. More with Dr. Casey Olson after these messages.
The BQA Tip of the Day, sponsored by Boehringer Ingelheim Vet Medica Inc.
Howdy, this is Kurt Pate with your tip of the day. When we're using dogs working cattle, the thing is they're great if you have control of them. So I'll go ahead and, for me, it's real important to be able to control your dog at least with a down. So my dog, I can always down him and get him to stay. I like to have him where he'll come behind me when I ask him to come behind. Tuckle, here. Come here, Tuckle. Come behind. Come behind. And stay back behind me until I ask him to go, and then I'll send him to the cattle. Get ahead, hunt him up. And if you can do those things and stop him and bring him back, at least you have a dog you can control and keep the cattle from getting too wild.
Say this is a calf that's been run through the chute a few too many times. Going through the chute stresses cattle, causing them not to eat like they should. Luckily, Pyramid 5 plus Presponse SQ provides proven protection against key respiratory diseases in a single shot, with just one trip through the chute. Talk to your veterinarian about Pyramid 5 plus Presponse SQ, and soon your calves will relax and eat like a whole different animal.
It takes vision, dedication, hard work. It takes knowing who you can trust. At ZINPRO Corporation, we have more industry-endorsed research behind our trace minerals than any other company. Proof that our patented performance minerals help improve overall animal health and performance. Lots of companies make claims. At ZINPRO, we generate results.
If my calves start healthy and stay healthy, I've got a good shot at making money. That is why I trust Clostrix. It gives my calves the protection they need until their own immune systems kick in.
Calf raisers trust Colostrix colostrum supplements. Colostrix is USDA licensed and proven effective. When your money is on the line, trust Colostrix.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson and Dr. Casey Olson. We're from Kansas State University, where we're both gainfully employed. Dr. Olson is the Walter Lewis Chair of Range Cattle Nutrition over in the Department of Animal Science. He's a ruminant nutritionist that does a lot of work in commercial cow herds, whether it's for K-State or for himself, and you know, you have a little skin in the game.
I do. I hope that makes me relevant, folks.
It does make you relevant, and so when we're talking about replacement heifers, so we've selected them. Now we've got to get them developed. So talk to me about, you know, when we start with the process of developing heifers and what really goes into that.
Well, traditionally the development process starts at weaning, and the first bit of it goes between weaning and that first pregnancy. Now, the goals that are associated with heifer development are actually pretty conservative. We want to get her to between 55 and 65% of her mature weight at the time that we first expose her for breeding. In most systems, you know, if you wean a heifer at 500 pounds, she's only going to have to gain 200 to 250 pounds between that moment of weaning and the time that we first expose her. The rate of gain goals are very conservative, folks. We're talking in most cases less than 2 pounds, maybe even less than 1.5 pounds. Now, with that sort of flexibility in the performance that we need, we also have flexibility in the environment,
right,
okay, that we can use to develop that heifer. And here's a piece of wisdom that I found is true over and over again. You've got to make that heifer fit the environment that she's going to have to fit as a mature cow. Okay, alter your mature cow management system with a little extra nutrition so that that heifer can start to learn from the time she weans through her first pregnancy until she gets that first calf on the ground. Okay, that wisdom that she gains in learning how to forage like a mature cow is going to pay big dividends. And there's research to back that up, not just my opinion.
Well, I'd always heard Dr. Boggs, Dr. Don Boggs had always said you pick your cows to match your environment.
Yes.
And you pick your bull to match your market. Is what
he's a wise man.
And so when we're talking about this, it just resonated with me, you know, that to get that. So talk to me about you know, we're getting them to that 65% of their mature weight. You know, one of the things that people forget when those heifers is that, number one, we need to know what their weights are, you know, on a nutritional basis.
Yes.
But we also need to know where they're at physiologically, because they're not only gestating, they're growing. And so development of the heifer can be a little more than just feeding cows.
Well, it's tough because at any one time during that heifer development cycle, you're going to encounter maintenance, growth, gestation, and lactation. Okay, and that's the only time in the animal sciences that we get all 4 of those things that we have to account for nutritionally.
Yeah, so we're putting on frame, folks. We're putting on body weight. We're putting on, you know, we're lactating, gestating, many different things, and it's pretty trying time when you think about managing the health, managing the development.
And don't forget learning. Learning has to occur during that period of time as well. We're training that heifer to be a mature cow.
Perfect. Folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up with Dr. Casey Olson on how to select and develop replacement heifers.
When looking at the number of farm and ranch operations, the USDA Census of Agriculture says cattle and beef production is the largest single segment of American agriculture. The census also says the average age of the American cattle farmer or rancher is in the late 50s. In order to support the continuous supply of U.S. beef, these producers need to do some business planning to successfully transfer their cattle operations to younger, independent producers.
I'm Andy Biergo. I'm owner of Gardiner Angus Farms with 2 of my sons, Bryson and Drew. We've been in business since 1950, and a family farm's been around for 145 years. And we've, like everybody, we've been through some good times and bad times. And doing well and having things that protect you and go forward, the beef checkoff could be one of the things that makes us global. We go to protect ourselves and protect our trading ability, and one way or another, we're going to have people that will protect us and do that. I've always had this theory that you're either doing things to advance and do better. I've never been a believer in this, it'll be normal or average. I'm a firm believer that we'll be going one way or the other. And without protection and advertisement and teaching people to believe in what we produce, it's more about producing the consumer. That's our client than maybe it is proving it to ourselves.
For me, one of the most important aspects that the beef checkoff provides is sustainability for future generations. My brother and I both have daughters, that we can see a future in the life that our grandfather has lived, that our father has lived, and now that we are getting to be a part of, and also the opportunities out there for our daughters now.
It was my dream when I was a little boy to own the home 80 acres, and I've always told my sons that you either need a job well enough you can have hobbies or do what you want, or you need to have a passion for your job and what you do. And I've had a passion for cattle my whole life, and my sons have a true passion for it, and I'm very proud of how they handle the farms.
The beef checkoffs has given us a lot of different opportunities for our daughters to have a chance to come back and be a part of this in the future.
No matter where, no matter why, The Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
Broadband has become as important to us as highways. That is why DocTalk is teaming up with NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, and rural broadband companies like Blue Valley Telecommunications in fighting for quality broadband access through the program Smart Rural Communities.
I don't think we have any idea what's coming in the future. I couldn't have imagined 5 years ago what we're doing today. So in 2 years, I would guess there's things we can't imagine that we're going to be doing.
To learn more, visit ntca.org/smart or bluevalley.net.
Still using ineffective fly tags on your cattle? It's time to eliminate fleas, ticks, flies, lice, and parasites, and at the same time, give them a shiny coat, making them more valuable. One fly tag can cost $2.50, but you can do this all for about a nickel a head. Introducing the Cow Sprayer, designed and built in the U.S. The Cow Sprayer is portable, solar-powered, and comes with a 25 or 40-gallon tank. Eliminate parasites for about 5 cents a head with the Cow Sprayer. Cowsprayer.com.
It's easy to spot the man who uses Synanthic. With lower volume and less waste, Synanthic steps up your deworming routine. Get more deworming with less dewormer at Synanthic.com.
Beringer Ingelheim Vetmedica Inc. knows the importance of beef quality assurance and asks you to step up and get certified. Go to bqa.org for details.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan here with Dr. Casey Olson, who is the Walter Lewis Chair of Range Cattle Nutrition at Kansas State University, and he's a dang good friend and a person I enjoy working with very, very much. We're talking about picking replacement heifers, and one of the things, as we were talking during the break, was some people use dry lot, some people use pasture for heifer development. And so what are some of the different pluses and minuses to those systems?
Well, a dry lot environment and a program diet allow you to program that rate of gain. Okay, if you need 1.5 pounds every day between weaning and that first breeding, it's very easy to get that in a dry lot environment. But there are things you give up as well. Being successful in a pasture or range environment takes training. Okay, and a lot of what a heifer knows, she learns from her mother, but that training is not complete. She's going to have to learn to do things on her own. And a piece of research I could point to came out of South Dakota State a number of years back, a graduate student that I was associated with. He developed some heifers in a dry lot environment only, okay, and some he developed in a pasture environment. The dry lot heifers were not turned out to graze until the beginning of the breeding season. And of course, the ones that were developed on pasture were out there the whole time. There was a 10% better breed up, okay, in those heifers that had been reared in a pasture environment. The animals that hadn't actually lost weight during the first weeks they were out there on that pasture. If they don't know what they're doing, you put them in a new environment at breeding time, you're going to cause a few of them to fail. Make your heifer development environment look a lot like the environment that those animals are going to have to fit as mature cows.
That makes perfect sense, and you know, obviously depending on how much grass you have or things to that nature, there'll be other limiting factors, but understand there's going to be a trade-off that if you have to bring them in,
that's right.
That might have. You know, we have a little bit of time here, Casey. What are some of the traits that heifers have that add value or bring value?
Okay, number one, and the hardest one to get to, is fertility. You know, and selecting for fertility can take a lifetime. Okay, can take a lifetime just to move it a few points in a positive direction. Don't forget the value of heterosis in creating fertility. Those hard to reach traits genetically respond very strongly to crossbreeding. So keep that in mind. I think the other trait that doesn't cost you money and doesn't take any real selection on your part is, again, making that heifer learn to be successful in her environment. You're in effect allowing nature to help you in that selection process. If she doesn't fit that environment, it doesn't matter how good she looks, how early she was born, she's not going to be a successful cow.
Well, outstanding information. Pick those heifers at the first, born at the first of the calving cycle. Many different things on developing. Work with your local veterinarian, work with your nutritionist, work with the extension agent. Many different areas of expertise out there for you to utilize. If you want to know more about what we do here at DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. Thank you, Dr. Olson, for being here. Folks, Dr. Casey Olson from Kansas State. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson. You've been watching DocTalk, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com. DocTalk was brought to you by MERCK Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at KFRM.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Earlier in my life, I rode bucking horses and rodeos, and my shoulders took such a beating, and that was probably the reason for having several previous surgeries on both shoulders. About a year ago, I decided that I didn't want to have another surgery, and so I contacted Kansas Regenerative Medicine, took their treatment process. It was relatively pain-free. Now, after 8 months, my shoulders have healed to the point where I think I'm probably 90 to 95% of normal. It takes a couple of months to start to see results with stem cell injections, but at about 3 to 3.5 months, I started to feel better. I started to have less pain and feel real progress. That continued to increase gradually until now at approximately 8 months. And I'm extremely pleased. I've got full range of motion. I can lift weights, I can throw, I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do without a lot of pain previously.
This Medford, New Jersey school bus runs on biodiesel, and so do these. In fact, all of these buses run on clean-burning biodiesel, which is great because the more we use biodiesel in our heavy-duty vehicles, the less carbon pollution in our air. Think how great it would be if more of our school buses ran on biodiesel. More biodiesel, less carbon pollution. More is less. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. A high-energy, drought-tolerant crop, sorghum only requires 6 inches of water to produce the first bushel. And with its wide uses and easy adaptation, sorghum proves to be a truly indispensable crop. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.